Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're watching another video, it means I was pretty okay and you decided to stick around. So I'll take it as a compliment. Or maybe you're like a family member supporting me. I'm not mad about that either. But whatever you're doing, I hope you are sitting down and just taking a moment for yourself. Grab a cup of coffee and just come hang. Little pregnancy updates. We just did our 20-week mark, which is super exciting, and we just got our anatomy scan done a couple days ago, and on top of that, so it's just been like a really filled week, and my husband finally got to feel her kick. We were just like snuggling on the couch watching TV after a long day, and I was like, oh, she's like going crazy in there, and he was like, oh, really? And he just, touched my belly, and she just went for it, so he got really excited about that. And that's always a cool moment to be able to share. She wanted to make sure like her presence was known, and it definitely was. So I'm excited about that. You can see my puppers are in the video today. They're very attached. And we're actually in my house. I'm not at a studio today. I'm just working from home, getting some editing done, and this is my way of just stopping and being a little social and drinking some coffee in an enjoyable way. Today I wanted to talk about how do you choose your photographer. I think other photographers are really picky when they're choosing a photographer. I know for my wedding I met with her like 3 times, and I asked her so many questions, and I saw her work and I loved it, and I would just talked with her, and she gave me a questionnaire and then met with me again about that questionnaire, and then met with me again to make sure I didn't have any questions. And I loved that because that's the kind of photographer I am. So I'm someone who really wants to get to know the person that I'm taking photos of. I really want to get to know their story. I really want to get to know what are you looking to capture. It was my wedding, so the obvious answer was capturing love and capturing an exciting wedding day. But she wanted to make sure that she captured our story, not just another wedding. Everyone's wedding is special, everyone's wedding is unique, and she wanted to make sure to get ours right, and that to me was all I needed to know. I felt comfortable, I felt safe in her hands, I felt like if I had a question I could text her or call her. I felt like we had a actual relationship, that trust was there, that connection was there, and that's what I strive to be to my clients who want to do a professional shoot or who want to go out for a day. Sometimes I do these date night shoots, which are really fun, and I'll actually go with a couple on a date and capture those moments. And so like moments like that, I want to be able to capture those, and I want to be able to capture the conversation and the laughs and the giggles, but I want to hear your love story. I want to know what brought you two together, how long have you been together, and what's your favorite thing about each other. Like, these are questions that I ask. I want to get to know you as a couple. Or if you're a senior and and you are graduating, I want to know what's your next step. Why is that your next step? What are your dreams? And then just to be able to encourage you. That's what I love to do. I love to get to know the people that I'm taking photos of, because a photo says 1,000 words, so you've got to make those count. That's just how I feel. So whenever you are choosing your photographer, I think it's so important to not be afraid to ask questions. I think a lot of people will come into it and hope that the photographer will ask them questions. Not all photographers do. If your photographer doesn't do that, it is okay to ask them questions, get to know them, and make sure that they're a right fit for you. And it's also very okay to say what you want. I have a story. I have a really good friend who has a sister-in-law, and I was chatting with her one day, and she was telling me, like, yeah, I realized I got this photo shoot done, and the photographer was very good. Like, seeing the work, the work was beautiful. No, it wasn't my style of photo, and that's okay, because everyone's style is different, hence why you have other photographers who match your style. But she had said, I told her I wanted lighter, brighter, airy, and she gave me this really contrasted, deep colored, kind of darker image. It looked very rustic, it looked very, it was just a very different style than what she was going for. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, you told her what you wanted, so that's interesting. But then whenever I went to her page and started looking at her work as a photographer, I was like, well, it makes sense. Those are the photos she took because that is her brand. That's her style. That is what she feels when she's editing the photo. We see it through our eyes. We see her story. We're still going to have our style attached to it. So while it is we're getting to know you and we're getting to know your story, we are still going to take photos and edit them the way that we see them and the way that we feel them, and it kind of has our signature on it, which is why it is so valuable to get to know your photographer and get to know their style. I've heard a million people say that whenever they've looked for photographers, they're like, well, it was more in my price range. It wasn't exactly the editing I would prefer, but I just told them what I wanted and assumed they would do it. And I, as a photographer, fell into that trap for a long time. Me being a people pleaser, I was like, well, I gotta edit it the exact way they want. And then I realized, no, I don't. So this is to the client and to the photographer. So the client, find someone who matches your style. Find someone who you can connect with, and that's why conversation is so important. But also to other photographers, be bold in your style, be confident in it, because that is your art. That is what you do. And I think that's the big picture. That's the important thing, is to remember that as a photographer, this is your art, this is your talent, this is your skill, this is what you put hours and hours of working into. And to the client, whenever you're booking your photographer, for real, ask questions and look at their portfolio. Photographers work for hours on their Instagrams, they work for hours on their Facebook, they work for hours and hours and hours and hours on their website. So that way people can see their work, that way people know what they're looking at when they hire their photographer. So I think that's so important. It gets the conversation going. But that's what the portfolio is there for. So take a look at that. And if you don't connect to it, if you don't like it, that is okay. I had a client tell me that they didn't love my work. Okay, that's fine, because then I've had 5 people tell me they love it and they want to book me. So just remember that ratio. Not everyone is going to love your work as a photographer, and it's okay to not love someone else's work because that's not your style. It's okay to find someone that you can build a connection with, either on a deeper level or just someone who makes you feel important. As if you're getting photos done, you should feel like the most important person in the world. If I could offer any advice, it's okay to be picky. There's a lot of us, and that used to stress me out. It used to really stress me out until I realized that I have my own voice, I have my own style, and that's what's going to make me stand out to the people that book me. You are paying for someone's art, and you are paying for someone to tell your story, so make every dollar count, but also don't harass your photographer for their prices because that's kind of a big thing. If they're charging that amount, it's because they know what their work is worth. They know the time that they put into it. What you see is us doing the photo shoot for 30 minutes or for an hour, sometimes more than that, sometimes a 2-hour shoot or an 8-hour shoot for a wedding. We're on our feet all day, so you do see that. What you don't see is the hours and days of editing that go into it, the touch-ups, the checking the work, the rechecking their work, the making sure every detail is good, making sure, there's so much that goes into it. There's so much. And then on top of that, all the marketing that they do. So you are paying for their time and their work, but you're paying for so much more than just an hour of it, for so much more than 8 hours of their time. But I want to know, what are your photographer experiences? If you're a photographer, I want to know, hopefully this encouraged you. Hopefully you feel confident if you weren't before. If you're just starting out, then it's okay to have starting prices and to tell people that you're learning, or even I did so many free shoots to build my portfolio, and they were with my friends or other families around me, like, hey, I can take these photos, I'm learning. I was always honest. And then as I got better, as I progressed, as I learned Photoshop, as the years went on, now I can feel confident to charge what I charge. So for photographers, build that confidence in yourself and know that your style is your style. Don't change it for anybody else. If you love it, you're doing it right. But I do want to hear your stories. If you found the photographer of your dreams and you just love them and you use them for everything, or if you're searching and you aren't sure why, maybe I can offer some advice. But But that's what I want to be here for. I just want to start a conversation. That was my coffee talk of the day. My pups decided to join us today, and they've been so quiet. This isn't normal. But it was really, really, really cool to talk to y'all, and I can't wait for next week. I'll actually have a friend here. Yeah.
Been through the fire and call